For those of you that are new here, my name is Jake Kaminski. I'm a two-time Olympic silver medalist in the sport of archery, and we're going to make this channel a great resource to all types of archery. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscription button and the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is uploaded. I'd appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to try this with a couple other limbs just to see the fitment on it. I don't have very many other ILF limbs that are non-win and win. I do have the NS limbs. I have the MXT GWs and the MXT GFs. I might have a couple of other random ILF limbs, some old prototypes that I can throw in here. And I think they're from other manufacturers, and we'll see if I can see any sort of issues there, and we'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know. All right, so I'm going to tighten the locking Grub screws. They are not even finger tight yet. So I equally tighten both sides to the lowest level of tightness that I'm comfortable with or without Loctite. I wouldn't want to run them without at least that much tension on them for fear of them vibrating loose. We're going to hope the alignment didn't change. So we are 1 for 2, which is better than where I've been. So it's quite snug, but I can get it in and out. So that's the MXT GWs. We're going to try different limbs and see if it's a limb issue, a riser issue, what the issue is. Here's an NS limb. This is 42 pound long, the lower limb. It's tight, it's snug, you know, pretty much the same as the other one. Win and Win, I think, changed their dovetail from this NS to the MXT. It's a totally different dovetail itself. The shape is all different. The detent's the same length. Spring tension's the same. It should not matter getting the limb in and out. You know, these are used limbs. Here's a lower limb, a different set. Same thing as an NS, but a different build. Also tight. It goes in and out though, so that's good. So let's see if the tightness changes based on any other limbs. So I don't have any other non-win and win limbs that are ILF. So I'll try the MXT GFs in there. See if it's any different. I'll take the bottom limb off. It's even harder than the MXT, or it's even harder than the NS limbs. And first installment of the limb, you can see here that scratch that was not there. So the chamfer, I think, needs to happen. If I was the company, I would chamfer that area a little bit more. And I will we'll try my wife's limbs. This is the set of NS limbs that are super light. I'll also put the bottom limb in, see if it's any different. These are 28 pound limbs, really light. Easy to put in and out. So it's, you know, the limbs definitely, you know, the tolerances, the designs, they change over the years. You know, I admire Gillo's dedication to tolerances, but you know, if I'm seeing tolerances within the top of the line limb in another brand won't fit into that riser. There's something that's a little funky, and I can appreciate their willingness to have the highest grade, highest quality product that they can produce. But I'm having some issues aligning their limbs, or aligning my limbs on their riser, and I can't get the limb out. I wish I could. I wish I could tell you something different. I tried what was directed of me, and I have tried to come up with my own solution. And not being able to get the limb out is a little. I wish I could get the limb out. You know, I wish I could tell you something different. I really want to. I really enjoy Frangili, both Vittorio and Michele, because, well, Michele was a good friend, and I respect Vittorio's knowledge and opinions and thoughts on many different things. And I appreciated, opportunities of talking to them at several tournaments throughout the years of traveling on the indoor and outdoor World Cup circuit. And I have the utmost respect for them as a company, and as individuals, as archers, as coaches, etc. I really respect them, and I wish I could do. I wish I could show something different. So I can get the limb out now without the locks in place. The adjusters are just barely touching, not snug, just touching. I'm gonna tighten these locking screws without the limb in place and see if I can get the limb in and out with the limb out, with tightening these grub screws with the limb out. I apologize if there's any funky noises going on in the video. There's a thunderstorm moving in overhead. I can hear the rain falling in my building outside of this office, and I hear thunder rumbling. So I'm sorry if we have some odd background noises, or if these lights above me go out. I still have lights on my camera, so I can probably still record. All right, locking grub screws are tight to my standards. These GWs, I can get them in, I can get them out. It's as loose slash it's snug. It's good enough. They're gonna hold. It's not gonna vibrate loose for my testing purposes and the time that I will have with this riser. So I'm gonna throw a very temporary knocking point on this string so we can get to some limb weight / limb alignment tests to see how they work throughout the extreme ranges of the limb alignment, or the extreme ranges of the bow weight, and we'll see what we can come up with here. I'll check this alignment really quick. I kind of don't want to, because I don't want to move them again, but I really want to make sure it's aligned. Close enough. That's good. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to throw a very temporary knocking point on. I got to throw my rest back on because I stole it off of this bow and actually went and shot this today with my wife after giving a lesson locally here in Gainesville, Florida. So I need to recheck the draw weight, how I did it before, to the plunger. I'm actually going to pull it back until the shaft comes really close to the end of the plunger, not to the front plunger hole, because the front plunger hole on the Win and Win I know is not in standard location. It's further forward than normal, and the GT looks to be standard, quote unquote. So I got 48.81. Oh, it's heavy. 48.33. Now I don't normally pull my bow back this far. I'm just trying to get a good reference. That's 48.5. So 48 and change is where I'm at. So when I set up that one, that's where I'll be. All right, quick takeoff. Plunger and the rest, and I'll take off the weights, get this back on the wall. Okay, so I had the plunger on, the rest on. I'm not going to take this off yet because we're going to verify the limb alignment as I take things through the range of bow weight. So I'm going to get the knocking point on really quick, and as I'm rolling footage of the quick knock tie, if you haven't yet seen a video on how I tie knocking points, both movable and non-movable, so permanent ones and adjustable ones, I'll put links in the description below on where you can find that knocking point video and a card at the top here so you can check those out. I'll work on remaking it with different colored knocking points and threads so you can follow along a bit easier. Maybe I'll do it with a piece of rope instead so you can see it without losing it in the darkness, because it's tough. So again, I prefer BCY 3D as my knocking point tying thread because it is so small. I don't like their knock tying thread because it's really big, And if you're interested in some BCY 3D, I'll put a link in the description below on where you can find that as well. I'll also put links in the description below on where you can find some nice Allen wrenches like those T-handles that are great, as well as some quality foldable ones, and limb alignment blocks, bow vices, pretty much all the stuff that I've been using in this this Gillo GT setup video. So I'm going to tie this about a ½ inch above center, just as a rough starting point. Okay, so I have the nocking point on. Now I get to check where the limb is at, the limb weight is at from the factory. I have not touched the limb bolts. Luckily my tiller was perfectly even, so I haven't even changed for that yet. So I will do a test of draw weight to see where it comes from the factory. The limbs are aligned now, and then I'll take it through range of motion through the limb bolts. We'll be able to find out what my findings are with the limb bolt weight positions and all that stuff, and the true range of adjustment on this bow. So let's get this thing to 0. 47.98, 48.39. First draw was a little short. God, I love this grip. 48.5, 48.5. So 48 and change, that's what I've got at the stock setting. I'm going to write it down on a whiteboard so we don't forget. Now I'm going to make sure I have to unstring the bow to adjust it a lot, if I remember correctly. You need to adjust these screws here. I've heard that you don't have to adjust them very much, if at all, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't want to damage somebody else's riser. Alright, so I loosened them a little bit, and I'm going to do the minimum adjustment next. So I'm going to go and take the limb bolts down as far as I can to keep it within, within spec like they show with a graphic here. And essentially what you want to do is you don't want the limb bolt to go out past this hole so you can see the threads internally. So I'm going to back it out. I don't remember. I'm going to try to count how many turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 8 turns past factory, so I'm gonna go back and make sure that they're all the way in. There, that is absolute minimum. We'll see how it looks. Take the stabilizer out of the way. So I got about 7 turns off from the factory setting before I started seeing the screw, like they tell you, that is unsafe. Back in within the safe range of adjustments. It says average full range adjustment is +4 to -5 turns of the limb bolt from stock. I got 7 turns. I'm going to check and see how it looks and see if it's safe before I do anything. Because it is quite far out there, I'm going to go with their safe recommendation. It looks like the limb bolt will maintain tension, maintain contact, and be within what I believe and looks to be safe for me, from my knowledge. Holy cow. It's like a parallel limb recurve. Now that looks weird. That looks really weird. I'm going to pluck the string. That's great. Let's check brace height. Gained about 1/2 inch of brace height, which just tells me that the limbs aren't preloaded as much as they once were, which is making, which is obvious. It's obvious that it would be that way because the limb bolts are so far out. Something that was interesting that I read in this manual, that when they talked about brace height, the brace height is recommended at factory set limb bolts. So I set this within their range at factory set limb bolts. What's really funny about this is, they say basically you got to play with it to make it work. And when I look at and read a limb, they even mention it in their manual that when the string leaves contact with the limb itself, you should have a little bit of space where the limb groove ends, where the actual groove for the string ends. So if you look at these limbs, you can see a groove that is cut in, and the groove clearly ends right there. Now, when this string is at brace height, or this limb is at brace height, there should be a small gap between the end of that groove and where the string is at rest. And this limb here, the string leaves the limb here, but the groove ends up even higher. The groove ends up here, and the string leaves the limb down here. So to me, what this is telling me is this needs a much higher brace height than it is actually at right now to be acceptable within the limbs range. But it's just a new system. It's extreme. So I think that I'm not going to play with it. It looks just fine. I'm not going to shoot it at this low weight anyway. And indeed, this rubber little thing here has lost almost all tension. And it looks funny. It's just it's an interesting setup. Kind of neat. I like that this bow has such a large range of adjustment. It's really unique. And it's nice to see some innovation in the industry. So we're going to check the limb alignment again. And then we'll take a bow weight measurement. God, it's scary. It feels like it's maybe 30 pounds. Take the limb alignment really fast, and then I'll do the bow weight. Then we'll crank it in and see what happens. So the top limb is actually off a little bit, just a tiny little bit. So I'm going to tighten these back up and see if that brings the limb alignment back into range where I liked it. It could be just my eyes. It's really not far off, nothing to complain about. It's just something to note. So after I tightened these bolts here on the side, it brought the top limb back in, and now the bottom one is a tiny, tiny, tiny bit out. Like maybe a 1/16 of a turn on the adjuster screws. Most people wouldn't even see that that is misaligned. So I'm going to call it just fine. I see very small adjustments needed, and because I had 7 turns on these limb bolts, I'm not going to complain about that. That's actually quite impressive. So we're going to check the bow weight now. So we were at 48.4 pounds, give or take. And the power went out. Let's see. Hopefully you can see me. Yeah, you can still see me. The power's out. We'll just keep operating. Let's see what happens. If I can see. I'm going to have to turn around so I can actually see how far I'm drawing the thing back. $37.28. 37.57. 37.79. All right, this is dedication right here. Holy, those lights are bright. Power went out, lightning storm. It happens in Florida. So we're gonna continue doing what we're doing. Enjoy the scenery. This is dedication here. So I'm gonna unstring the bow, and I'm gonna crank them all the way in, and we'll see what the brace height looks like, and see what bow weight we get, and see how the alignment is as well. So their user manual said like 4 in, 5 out, or something like that from stock. Yeah, 4 in, 5 out from stock. I got 7 out. It says 7 pound or 7 turns. No, 9 turns of maximum adjustment. So I'm gonna take it in 9 turns and see what things look at first. And I'll do the same on the bottom. I'm not gonna go more than that, though. Stock setting, I got 7 out. I might take it all the way in and see what happens as far as what I feel, and if the limb bolt bottoms out itself. That's 9. I'm gonna go 10, 11. I can get 11. If I go much more than that, I'd be afraid to pop this rubber thing, and now the limb bolt's sticking out the back. A little bit of schmoo coming out the end. I'm gonna go back to 9 turns. Just because that's what their manual says. That's not what the bow is capable of, clearly. But I don't know. I don't want to do more than what they're saying. It's a little difficult to read into based on there's no hard limit as far as hard in, hard out. You know, I can get the out limit because you can see where the thread is popping through this brass pivot bushing thing. So if they, in my opinion, I think it'd be better if they had that minimum setting where they say, okay, you can't see the threads. And then, excuse me, I'm not going to look into the camera because the lights are disorienting with it so dark in here. And So if they gave you that minimum setting where you could see the threads, that would be 2 minimum, and then say, okay, how many turns in from there can you go? It doesn't say that in the manual. It's hard to see, hard to know. You know, not everybody knows. So I'm gonna try their 9 turns, and maybe I'll crank it in more and see what happens. Oh, whew. It's heavy. It's stout. Brace height's lower now. Yeah, now we're at 8.5 inch brace height. So throughout the limbs adjustment range, I see an entire 1 inch change, and now there is space in between where the string is and where the groove ends. So to me, this brace height actually looks pretty good based on what I know and look for in the limbs themselves. And the limbs still feel good. I'm surprised, actually. Like, they feel like normal recurve limbs at that setting. So that's pretty cool. I do like that. I think they're onto something with this limb adjustment extreme like this. It's nice for youth archers, nice for archers going up in weight or down in weight or making adjustments. I'm a fan. I like it. It's not light. 51.22. 5108. There. 51.59. 51.72. We're going to call it 51.5. Check the limb alignment, and I'll do some math, and we'll figure out the percentage of change. I'll let you know what these limbs are marked. I think they're marked 42s. So very similar to what I saw all the way out. So if I tighten these back up, I bet you the alignment will be more acceptable. Yeah, so very similar to the full the way out adjustment, except now the top limb is just that far bit out. Not really much to complain about. Considering the range of adjustment on this thing, I think that's crazy. And it looks like the alignment system's pretty good to me. I'm going to adjust in a little bit more and see what I can get for bow weight. +4, -5. I did actually -7, and now I'm back to only +2 from stock. So according to their manual, I should be able to go 2 turns in more. I bought this riser brand new from Lancaster Archery Supply, so I should not have any issues. So that it was completely stock, and nothing changed. So 1, 2. That is +4 from where it came to me. See if I can string the bow. Any heavier than that and I won't be able to string it. Not without a stringer. Brace height is now 8 1/4. 54.52. 54.74. 54.83. So this is what I've got so far. I'm going to do turns as well as reference of what I got. And this is going to be from where it came out of the box. So what I got here, so factory stock +4 turns, I ended up at 54.5 pounds. So I'm going to do math really quick. I got to pause the video and grab my phone because I don't have a calculator down here. And I will get the percentage of change and we'll see what happens. All right, so I did a little bit of quick math on the phone with calculator. So from factory stock, the total percent change that I got maximum, and again, these are 40-pound longs on a 27-inch riser, 27-inch Gillo GT. I got a 23% reduction maximum in bow weight, a 6% maximum increase according to the 9-turn difference between these two. But when I go the 4 in from factory stock, I got 13% increase. So my total change and total adjustment is roughly 27 to 32%. So it's 27% from here, 32% from here. So their figure of ±30% is pretty spot on according to what I'm seeing. So that is nice to see. Advertising staying true, and people's words staying true to their specific pieces of equipment. You know, overall, what I see here, what I like about this bow, I like the bow weight adjustment, the ability to really use your limbs to your fullest ability. You could potentially, with this adjustability, I mean, you could buy pretty much one set of limbs from the get-go as an adult. As a kid, you're going to buy some different size limbs and stuff to begin with. But, I could buy these limbs, adjust the bow weight to where I feel comfortable to start with, as low as 37 pounds, and crank it in as far as 50-ish pounds, give or take, if I really wanted to. So I really like that as a feature. I like the anodizing. I like that it has a satin finish to it, no bright finish. The grip, I would say this is the best factory grip by far that I've put my hands on. I like that it is a Barebow. I like that it is an ILF. I like that you can put a sight on it as well. The standard plunger holes, the clicker plates are great. The fit and finish of everything looks quite good. Their tolerances are great, potentially a little too tight, but the tolerances are great. I like a lot about this riser. I like that there are many mounting points for all sorts of weights. You can screw them in the backside, top and low, behind the grip, in front of the grip, low, high, low, in on the side for Barebow. There are so many mounting points on this, and that's pretty much what makes it a Barebow riser, the ability to have all of these adjustments. Now, something that I would question, and I don't think is an issue, but there's so many funny things in the rule book for Barebow, right? And you can't have anything in the backside of the riser. No, they won't allow you to have an arrow ding from throwing your arrow in your riser, or a scratch, or some words that are written here from like Win and Win factories when it said winning in mind, winning in spirit, or something like that. With that stuff there, it's illegal for Barebow. They allow this stuff on the top limb for whatever reason, but this is still on the riser, and you got this vertical line here. I wonder if there's been any challengers for that at all, just out of curiosity. But the features of the offset stabilizer bushing as a FIDA shooter, a world archery shooter, or whatever, Olympic style recurve shooter, I don't know if I would like that. I'd have to put a lot of arrows through this and have two identical bows built, one with the bushing centered on the riser, one with the bushing offset, and then I would like to see a comparison of how the bow feels, how the bow reacts, how the bow groups, tunes, etc. So I can't really make a good recommendation on that and my feelings on that. It is a change. It is different. Do I like it? No, because I can't align my bow the way I want to. Vittorio reached out to me and said, hey, we verify that this bushing is perfectly aligned and correct and exactly correct, but we don't with our top and bottom bushings. Why? I don't know. They should. If they do here, they should here, in my opinion, because this is a great tool for limb alignment. Again, if you haven't seen the first part, check that first part out. I talk about my limb alignment, why I do it. If you're interested, check out my tuning series. Links in the description below. I'll put a card at the top here too, on why I use my stabilizer and why it's important. Overall, I really like the riser. Feels good. I like that I can put my hands on a 27-inch riser again. I mean, doing a crawl. Actually, I'm going to put the bow weight down a little bit because this is ridiculous. Right? This is factory stock, which happened to be the exact draw weight that I was using on my Win and Win ATFX. So it's perfect for me. Probably adjust the tiller a little bit. But if I grab my Yoast tab and I get a crawl in this, I just shot today, so I know where my crawls are at right now. This is a 20-yard crawl in the middle of the Yoast, pretty deep for a lot of people. Oops. The grip feels great. It doesn't feel like it's rising on me. The tiller is even right now. Obviously, I have no weight on the bow, but it just feels way more comfortable being a 27-inch riser and string crawling as much as I do, because I'm a bit extreme in my setup. I'm a bit extreme in what I am looking at because of my anchor point. I've got a relatively low anchor compared to many people, and that's okay. I don't think that that's an issue. I've addressed that. and I'm gonna stick with what I've got for now until I need to see until I foresee the need for a change elsewhere or for whatever reason. But anyway, what I am noticing with this longer riser that is a positive for me is the fact that I don't feel nearly as uncomfortable at full draw as I do, or as I did with my win and win, due to my extreme crawl. You know, it feels quite good. With the win and win, when I had it as an even tiller at full draw, I had a hard time keeping my bow arm up enough. You know, I had a hard time keeping my arrow up in the target where I wanted to be aiming, point on, and it just was relatively uncomfortable. Once I did negative tiller and I did a 1/4 inch negative tiller, felt great to me, and it actually aimed much better, held still, more still, and felt better overall. So if I go back to the same 20-yard crawl, now with the Barebow weights on, similar to what I've got, I mean, it feels really, really good. If I go to a 10-yard crawl or a really, really short shot, some of those, I still didn't make that center serving long enough on this string for this deep crawl. Man, it feels so good. The grip feels so good. The weight of the riser feels so good. I mean, it just feels good. The 27-inch riser is a killer riser length. I wish more manufacturers did 27-inch risers. The reason that they don't, from what I've learned, is the tolerances on a 27-inch riser, due to the center line, you know, the deviation from the center of the bow, it is that much harder to maintain good quality control and rejection rates, keeping those low so you're not throwing out a bunch of risers that you just spent, you know, an hour machining, right? And from what I understand, 27-inch riser is just so much more difficult. It's a bit cost prohibitive. So in order for them to regain all their throwouts from the you know, their failure rates from machining and not passing quality control, they stopped making them. You know, they didn't see the demand as much. I would be willing to bet with this Barebow resurgence, there is a screaming demand for 27-inch risers, and that's why Gillo is making 27s and 29s, even bigger, you know, and people have really long draw lengths. I think it was a big mistake eliminating 27-inch risers from the lineups. So it's cool to see that this is back, and I like it. You know, those are the majority of the positives. You know, the negatives about the riser. I don't like the feel, the soft touch feel of it. Yes, it's, you know, it contradicts my like of the flat sheen. I'm just being picky here. I'm okay with it. I know some people won't be when they get their hands on it. Other negatives, I would shape the grip just a little bit. Other negatives, obviously the limb alignment system. I like that it shifts the dovetail. I like that it's with set screws. I like that it's simple, and it could be so simple and very quick and easy. And as you saw, I struggled. Stuff that I've not seen before, stuff that I've not encountered before. I have a few different sets of limbs here from the same manufacturer, top of the line limbs, so their quality control should be very good. I have never been unable to get a limb out of a bow before, with the exception of a Hoyt dowel, you know, the dovetail dowel, and having it totally misaligned incorrectly, and then you can't get your limbs out. That's a simple mistake. This, I tried my tricks, tight with the inner adjuster, loose with the inner adjuster, without the spring, with the spring, just touching, crushing, you name it. When I put the locks in, when I put them tight to my standards so they won't vibrate loose, it tightened the inners and jammed the limbs in again. Again, I think it's due to the tolerances that I've explained earlier in this video, and you know, it is what it is. But that's what I don't like. That's really honestly about all I don't like, you know. Overall, first impressions without even shooting it yet, I really do like it. The small changes was frustrating. It is what it is. And like I said, I wish I could change it. I wish it was different. And I tried. And it is what it is. But I'm very excited to go shoot this thing and see how it actually feels. You know, it definitely is exciting. I gotta adjust my tiller correct, and I need to make sure my center shot is set correct, and then I can go and shoot some arrows. So I'll do that in the next video in this series. I will be shooting this bow. And again, like I said, I apologize for the delay due to my camera dying, or my phone dying halfway through the recording session. Plus, you know, I kind of hit a wall and couldn't do much adjustment. Stay tuned for the next one of shooting the riser. That'll be coming up in a couple days. So if you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscription button, hit the notification bell, and you know, please support this channel if you can. It's I really enjoy making this kind of content. I really enjoy testing and tuning. I really enjoy putting my hands on things and giving people feedback. And I genuinely appreciate everybody out there that's supporting this channel and helping me produce this content for everybody else for free across the entire world. And everybody across the world thanks you in addition to myself. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, consider hitting the like button, the subscription button, and the notification bell. And if you're interested in supporting my channel, head to my website, jkaminski.com, where you can find information on Patreon, apparel, books, and digital coaching as well.